Hello, good morning. Welcome to Gaming Insight Daily for Monday, August 11th, 2025. I'm Steve Saylor. This is yours sometimes daily show of gaming news, accessibility news, or updates about my life. I have coffee in my Twitch mug today. It's kind of half full because I had some issues recording this earlier today, so I'm having to re-record this. Fun! What a great way to start a Monday morning. But that being said, I hope you had a good weekend. This is actually the first weekend I was able to actually just relax and chill, where I didn't have to go anywhere. I didn't have to be anywhere. I didn't have to travel anywhere. I didn't have to do anything. I could just sit at home, play video games, watch movies, literally read comic books. I did all of that this weekend, and it was awesome. Speaking of playing video games, yes, I did get to jump into Battlefield 6's open beta this weekend because I really wanted to be able to give it a try to see what EA could do with its military shooter. For full disclosure, I did work on a previous military shooter in Call of Duty. I worked on the single player campaign or consultant. I was one of the contracted consultants for 3 years on the single player campaign for Call of Duty Black Ops 6. So if you enjoyed that, let me know. Actually, I'd be very curious to see what you thought about at least the single player campaign, because that's what I worked on. But I wanted to try what EA was going to do with its military shooter, because they actually have been doing really well when it comes to accessibility as of late, with their EA Sports titles getting a lot of accessibility updates. F126 has blind drive assist now. We have EAFC F26 is gonna have high contrast mode for including in multiplayer. We also have a screen reader in Madden 26, and he also having a little bit of hope because Vince Zampella, who was in charge of the the Star Wars Jedi series, is also in charge of the Battlefield 6, or sort of the Battlefield Labs, as it were. So I was, yes, now granted, the Jedi series wasn't necessarily like fully accessible, but actually even back in the first sort of Jedi Fallen Order, there was some accessibility that I thought was worth that was actually really good for the time that it came out, and it only improved with Jedi Survivor. So I was really hopeful going into this weekend that maybe EA could do some really good things for accessibility in a military shooter to kind of hopefully maybe have a bit of an accessibility arms race, as it were, with Call of Duty and Battlefield. But with all that being said, I think that EA tried but didn't really do much more than just what was either required of them, or there was a lot that was kind of lost in the shuffle, as it were. It's kind of give a little bit of perspective. Let me kind of go into the settings menus here that I have kind of on display. They do have some accessibility. There is stuff to be able to kind of to talk about, because you got a menu narrator, which is awesome. But I will say it is limited in that it only reads just the main menus and the ability to be able to choose which sort of mode or multiplayer mode or lobby you want to join into, but beyond that, the in-game menus and the in-game sort of HUD, as it were, is not read at all. You also can't adjust the narration to either speed it up or change the pitch or volume and what have you. It's just on or off. They do have some subtitle options where you can be able to choose larger font size. You can choose opacity, and it does have speaker tags as well. You can even adjust the colors for those who are colorblind. You can literally choose any color you want for any of the main on-screen elements that does rely on color. I went with sort of a blue color for my teammates, and kept a green for my sort of squad mates. Which is the difference is the squad is kind of the team that you're like the 4 people that you're with, and then the teammates is kind of for everyone else, kind of like in a major sort of like larger match setting. And I chose pinkish/purple for enemies instead of red, thinking that I could be able to use that as a good way to be able to high contrast a way to be able to see the enemies in any of the PvP matches. And there's also an extensive amount of control opportunities control opportunities. There's a lot of control options for those with motor disabilities. I think that is actually something that both the Battlefield series and the Call of Duty series does extremely well. That they do actually offer an extensive amount of customizable controls that I think that they designed specifically for those who are not disabled. So you have infinite amount of controls on how you feel playing the game, both on mouse and keyboard and also on controller. But it does also have a side benefit of, yes, it does help a lot of motor disabled players be able to customize how they play. You can be able to do holds and toggles for a lot of controls. You can be able to adjust the sensitivity of certain things, and you can also be able to adjust the at least what I could see, the not the controller, but definitely the mouse and keyboard of remapping controls. Didn't go fully into trying to remap on controller. I was just sort of just trying it out, and I was playing this on my PlayStation 5 as well. I should probably mention that too. So there is some accessibility considerations in there, but that unfortunately is kind of really beyond, like, just really it. If I get into sort of the, I'm going to show the last match because I feel like that's kind of where I started to kind of hit my stride, as it were, and not in the way that you think. I found that there was an interesting accessibility option that I wanted to be able to at least mention in here, and that is in regards to the HUD size. Basically, you were able to adjust the HUD size a little bit and increase the HUD icons for either above players' heads or just icons in general. So you can see here that there is a lot of like larger icons, which is great for those who are low vision, which is awesome. But as you can tell, when you just look at the footage here, I could not see anything. I could rarely see where I was being shot at. Apparently I was being shot from above, but I had no idea, and I know that's sort of the same, like that's kind of standard for your military PvP shooter. But whenever I look at anyone else who plays this, they seem to have a much easier time with it than I do. I would often find times that I would, like, if I'm shooting anything, I'm mostly shooting in a direction where I think other enemies are, but with hopes that I would hit something, but in reality it did not at all. And even then I could really, like, and you can sort of tell, like, there is when you do get shot, you do actually see a red kind of shader on what was the thing that actually shot me, and you can tell at that particular point I got killed by a tank, which is fair, but which kind of gave me a bit of hope for a second, because I thought that potentially there could be some high contrast mode abilities in here, because you do see a bit of a ghosted effect on the enemies who do shoot you. Now, they don't show you where they currently are, but they do at least show you where they last were when they shot you, and then also you can be able to see any of your squad mates hidden in behind walls. Like, anytime that you see, like, you can see a squad mate a sort of silhouette in behind any walls or any buildings, which is actually kind of great, because I think you like, it has it seems to me that there is the technical capability of having a contrast mode, but I wonder if maybe they didn't include it was because of potential seeing accessibility or high contrast mode as potentially cheating, which I don't like. I personally don't see it as that, but I definitely understand the fear that that developers may have in this. And you'll see actually in a second, yeah, here we go, you can see like the bit of the green outline or the green shader. This kill right here, that's literally probably one of the only kills I had the entire game. I had like maybe like 2 or 3 total the entire game. But I wanted to sort of showcase, and you can kind of see what I've been doing here in this footage. And you can see like that I have these defibrillator pads, and it's because the only class I felt comfortable playing and that actually was accessible was the support class. And the support class is your medic. It's the one class that has a defibrillator where you don't have to, they have Battlefield 6 has a thing where anyone can go up to a player and do a drag and revive. So you can drag a player out of the way and revive them right then and there. But the support class is the only one that actually has a defibrillator pads where you can go up to someone who needs a revive, go straight up to them and literally revive them right then and there with a little bit of health, enough for them to be able to kind of hopefully get up and get out of the way before they potentially might get shot again. And that's really the only reason why I was able to even play that, was because of the larger icons in the HUD. You can see that there are times where you see where there's a player's icons that need to be revived. The one I'm kind of sprinting towards right now is a player that essentially that was requesting revive, and because I could see that icon on the HUD, that's what I was basically able to tell where any of my squad mates or teammates were, and I could be able to go or sprint to them to be able to revive them. I had a total of about 48 revives over the span of 3 matches, and I felt actually pretty proud of that. That was something that I felt like I could actually be able to at least be able to do. But then also the guilt that I had in that I felt like I couldn't be able to contribute fully to a squad or to a team because of the fact that I couldn't shoot anything. I really felt like that I was hindering a lot of players in that sense, and oftentimes I would just kind of like follow behind people in hopes that maybe they would like get shot, and then I could basically revive them so they can actually do the thing that you're supposed to do in PvP shooter games, and that's actually shoot people. And I couldn't do it. Like I said, I barely used my gun at all, other than just potentially just self-defense. But even then, I would, as you can see, I couldn't even tell where I was getting shot from. I'm looking around and I can't see where even the red silhouette of where anyone was. I have no idea, and that's the yin and yang of the inaccessibility accessibility in this game, because essentially, again, the only thing that because of the accessibility of the larger icons on screen, that is literally the only thing I felt like I could be able to do. Now, yes, the support role is a very important role in Battlefield 6. Case in point, like again, I could be able to take out people that, or I could help out people that. Oh, I didn't even realize that was actually someone that was shooting that person right then and there. See, again, you can't even tell sometimes of who's an enemy and who's not. The only way I could tell was that there was a purple icon above people, a purple circle above people's heads. That's when I knew they were enemies. But then again, it's like it's because they're blending into the environment. I have like there'll be times I'm glad that there was no friendly fire, because I could have shot and killed many of my squad mates in this game, because I just couldn't see where anyone was. And again, I feel like I apologize if I'm kind of repeating myself at this point, but it was definitely like it was frustrating to the point where I know I was doing okay with revives. I felt like I was actually contributing to the team. I was actually able to help my squad as best as possible, and if it helped basically getting someone up to be able to take out an important, crucial point in the match, great. I was able to help. But beyond that, I have no idea if it was working or it wasn't. And that's the main problem with the accessibility of this game, is that there were times, sorry, I have the hiccups. There were times that I felt like there was enough accessibility that I could at least try to be able to play. That's what kind of was deceptive about it. When I went into the accessibility menus for the first time, there wasn't a lot, but it was more than what I've seen in other games. But when it comes to the core gameplay of Battlefield 6, it just there was not anywhere near enough that I could use to be able to enjoy what the core gameplay of this game is. Because yes, while granted the support class is a good it does help, it is not what the game is designed for. This game is a PvP military shooter. It is not a medic, a revive simulator. It's in a combat scenario. Like, it is not that at all. So I have, and because it's not designed to be as such, I'm not getting the full enjoyment out of the game as I should. And the two things I kind of sort of equate to why there is just not enough accessibility in there is twofold. Like I said before, a lot of times accessibility can be seen as cheating, or is unfair to the players. So developers are afraid to be able to even look into adding accessibility, or at least be able to add in enough accessibility that players need, because essentially It can be like other players may think of it as it's unfair. You're taking advantage of the game, of the meta of the game, and it's taking away from an enjoyable experience. And I would argue that it's not. I've always been in the camp of you can make multiplayer accessible. You can actually be able to do a lot of accessibility in the game, because a lot of accessibility for multiplayer, even military shooters, essentially is the same information that's already given to the player. It's just provided in a different format, whether it's visual or audio. And I do feel like that is something that can be done, but not like no one can really. I can never really sort of convince enough people that it, or even other consultants are able to convince enough people that is the case, without it sort of being the developers being afraid of what player feedback might be for that. And the second thing is, there are 4 studios working on Battlefield 6 right now. They're taking kind of like a Call of Duty approach, where they have multiple studios working on a Call of Duty game at any given point. And because in case in point for Call of Duty, they generally, if they're like, say for instance, what I worked on, Black Ops 6, you had Treyarch, you had Raven, you also had Beanox, and any of the other supporting studios that was helping to create Black Ops 6. And it seems as if that EA is kind of taking that into consideration and having 4 other studios work on just one game. They're not. It doesn't seem that one is working on. I don't know if one's working on the other. I don't know the internal workings of Battlefield 6, whether it's DICE or what have you. But essentially, because I think that there are so many studios working on this, there is not one central team. There is not one main studio that is working on fully adding more accessibility into the game. And because there's no one sort of taking the responsibility of such, I think that a lot of that accessibility information is lost, or it gets lost in the shuffle. It's not to say, again, that there's not accessibility. There is some. You can tell that there is, at least it's a priority to a certain degree, but you can't tell whether it's just it fulfills a requirement, whether internally or legally, or it's just something that they were able to do the best they could do without sort of trying to be able to convince more higher ups, or even Vince Impella himself, that accessibility is important in this to stand out in a PvP military shooter settings or genre. So I think that kind of can hinder like other player, or can hinder advancements in accessibility in that sort of sense. And that's kind of where I sort of see the reasons why that potentially that accessibility could not be included properly in this, or fully in this game. Again, I could be completely wrong. I don't know the internal workings of EA or of even the Battlefield studios or Battlefield Labs, as it were. But I do know that they are looking for feedback. EA accessibility lead Morgan Baker, who is, full disclosure, is a friend of mine, a close friend of mine. She is looking for accessibility feedback. So I would definitely recommend reaching out to EA to provide, if you have been able to play the beta or able to play Battlefield 6, I know that they're looking for that information so that they can be able to give to the studio to hopefully be able to make the game more accessible. But as of right now, if I had to sort of decide on whether or not this game is going to be accessible at launch, my guess is maybe for some, but not for all. And I would definitely recommend, if you can get into the open beta within the next 2 weekends, that they're going to be able to do that. I definitely would at least recommend giving it a try and see for yourself. And if you do have feedback on it, or you do have thoughts on Battlefield 6 accessibility and you've played it, let me know in the comment section down below. I'm sure that if anyone from EA is watching this, they'd probably be interested in your thoughts in the comment section as well. So yeah, I just I don't have a lot of high hopes for the accessibility of Battlefield 6 at launch, potentially maybe even post-launch, because it seems they want to support this game for a lot longer than just the initial first few months of launch for this game. So hopefully that's something that they can be able to, the EA can be able to dedicate time and resources and people power to be able to do this, but we shall see. That's gonna be it for me today. Again, if you have any comments, or if you have any feedback or any questions about the accessibility of Battlefield 6, also leave them in the comment section down below. Take care, have yourself a great and wonderful day, and I will tomorrow will actually be my sort of thoughts on the global jam, the open beta of Dragon Drive from Nintendo. I have a lot of thoughts on that, so stay tuned tomorrow for an episode or a video on that as well. Take care, have yourself a great and wonderful day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.